We were supposed to do it yesterday. So what happened on Asar B'Teves? So I told you it's really 3 different days. It was Ches, Tes, and Yud, and I think 5 things happened. He said the slichas we list them in the slichas. What were the slichas? Huvka'ir, the siege around Yerushalayim began. The second thing is they translated the Torah into Yavanis. The Torah is translated into Greek. I think Batla HaTamid, the carbon Tamid that they used to bring every day, the Karbanis stopped.
Same year or different year? As the siege?
I'm sure a different year.
Why?
Because the Tamid went after the siege. They didn't really. They didn't run out of animals the first day.
So you got a whole year of animals?
They used to remember. The story. They used to put a bucket over, and they would send them up animals. Even during the siege, they were doing it. But they said the pig ones and scratched them, whatever.
The story never makes sense. We got to go naturally. Because what? They're going to get home? They're going to get the money.
I mean, well, then, like, people will hide it, and I don't understand that. Until today, they dig. These archaeologists think they're still finding gold and jewelry. Like people, what? How did that happen? Like whoever conquered you didn't take the stuff.
No, they did, and then it got buried.
When we got buried.
Isn't your shrine like buried under 9 layers or something?
But it didn't happen in one day. People could have taken the good stuff.
The upper layer, like the people, right? Some of the people were buried.
Right. It could be it's all the wedding rings that got lost, like in Pesach cleaning. That's what you always wonder what happened. Every ring you find is the lady. She sent the husband took it to the dump, and he tried to look for it. He couldn't find it. It's whatever it is. There's all these kind of historical questions. Okay, let's do this. I just want to focus mainly on this idea of that the Torah was translated into Greek. What's the big tragedy of translating the Torah? Why is that so gefährlich? And in fact, just to compound the question, in the end of Devarim, Moshe Rabbeinu writes the whole Torah in all 70 languages on the stones. The right? The Sid, you have to, and in there the Torah not only is it not called the bad thing, but when he writes the whole Torah in all 70 languages on the stones, it calls it Pe'er Hetev, well clarified, well explained well, clear. So there's 2 totally opposite approaches to what translating Torah is. Is it a terrible calamity, or is it well Pe'er Hetev, well clarified? Like the one point it's and you can't answer that Greece is worse. I imagine Greek was one of the 70 languages, and probably worse languages than Greek. Greece already has value. A Sefer Torah written in Yavonis has some kedusha and some value. It's one of the higher languages. So when Moshe wrote, he translated the Torah into much worse things than Greek. So just to connect it to these parashiyas, so when Yosef was in jail, everyone knows the Chazal. That Paro spoke all 70 languages, and when Yosef was taken out of jail, when he was in jail, they brought him to Paro. So the night before they took Yosef out, the Malach Gabriel went to Yosef's jail cell, and he taught him all the 70 languages. You know the Chazal? Most people know the whole Chazal. He says that Yosef was a shvach student. He couldn't understand. He was a little challenged, and Gabriel had to add a letter to his name. He added a hey to his name, and then Yosef was able to understand the languages, and Yosef learned all the 70 languages, and he came out of jail, and he came to Paro, and Paro said, what? Who? We'll see. And the Yosef K'nai Nahara is quite capable. He runs the whole world, the guy. So we're gonna have to say pshat in that.
Where did they go?
We'll see. But no, it's brought down. That's what it's all. I think the whole Chazal is on Tehillim, right? You can Google it. Anybody wants. Anyone who doesn't have a smartphone can look it up. Eidos. The capital Eidos. We say what's Thursday. It's tomorrow's capital. Eidos be a hoisem. Someone would say Eretz Mitzrayim. Svas lo yadati eshma. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Let's go through the words. What's the words? Edus be a hoisef. That's where the extra hay is. Your hoisef. Samoi.
We all choose by Sarah and Abraham.
Well, look what that because that kapitel is talking about this. What does it say? What's the words in the kapitel? Samoi al Eretz Mitzrayim, who was placed on the land of Egypt. Svas lo yodati eshma, a language that I didn't know. Now I can hear. The whole kapitel is about him learning languages, and that's why he calls me Yosef. That's probably where the whole medrash is, that Gabriel taught him. And then when he gets out of jail, so Pare does his shtick with you. He says, bonjour, and he goes, whatever you say back. And how many languages have you been to? How many can you do?
Show me the 60 countries.
How many? You've been the most? You're the most?
Well, he's not here now.
The RV doesn't go to countries, so but you can do American accents. Okay, so you have Svasli. So he said whatever, and then he gets to Salam. And then Yosef says Lashon HaKodesh, and Parah didn't know Lashon HaKodesh. So Yosef spoke 71 way. Yosef won. It's the whole Chazal. Everyone knows it. What's up with the whole story? I want to make it a little explain it a little bit. And then in the course of that, hopefully we can understand a lot of important things. So what's the relationship of Lashon HaKodesh to other languages? Or for that matter, what's the relationship of the Jewish people to the 70 nations? Every time you have 70, there's a lot of 70s. There's 70 nations, 70 languages, 70 countries. And then there's Lashon HaKodesh, Eretz Yisrael, the Jewish people. So what is the relation? Are we number 1? Are we number 70? Like, how would you imagine, what is the role of Klal Yisrael in respect to the other 70? So the answer is, well, to do this, I'll go through it. I'll tell you a different. Okay, good. Okay, very good. So that makes it number 1. What does that make it? Fair? But I'll have a different conversation first. I want to explain a hashkafa argument. In Jewish hashkafa, so there's different ideas about what we should be learning, right? In Lakewood, the Haredish hashkafa is just Torah. Then you have YU has something called Torah Umada, Torah and knowledge. And then this Torah of Derech Eretz, the Ekis, Tam Shafal Hirsch, it's a whole different hashkafa. I don't know if we'll go through all of them, but I want to. Torah V'das, I hear.
That was the fight like me. Torah Masayr.
Yeah. No, so I just want to explain what the hashkafa of Torah, what's the machlekes. I use this shir to sort of, you'll hear. It's a good shir for arguing. If you like to fight, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have under your belt. Let's first the way you do any argument is first you have to be fair. You have to come up with the best, most worked out position for the side you're arguing with. You can't make them sound like idiots and then fight with them. Then when you go out into the real world, you fight with someone, you lose. You have to play devil's advocate. You have to fight. You have to decide the best possible argument for them. First, you have to be able to fight, walk a mile in their shoes, and then you can see if you can debunk the best you got. So here's, I think, the very good way to understand. If I was explaining Torah Mada, it's like this: is that the goal of everything is to know the Rebbeinu Shalom. He is the architect of the Bria. If you want to know an author or an architect or a composer, you want to know the guy who's machadish and stuff. So what you have to do is you have to read the author. You got to read all his books. If you want to know an architect, you have to look at all the buildings he designed. So the Rebbeinu Shalom wrote 2 chiburim. He revealed himself in 2 ways. He gave us a Torah, and he also wrote the Bria. So if you want to know God, so then you have to have everything he wrote. You have to read all of his stuff. So you got to read the Torah, and then you got to read the Bria. There's no way to know God without knowing everything he wrote. So it's a very, very good argument to say that you have to know Torah Mana. If your goal is very from cheshbon, not because I need to know secular information. I need to know God. Who wrote the world? God wrote the world. So you want to know God, you got to better study the world. Right. So the question is, and then you have a side question. If Hashem wrote 2 books, so then what's the relationship of the 2 books?
What are the 2 books?
the Torah and the Bria, the Torah and the world, right? Calling them books is a little loose with the word books, but two acts of creativity, what's a good word? Give me a word. Two revelations. That he revealed his machshavos. There's two ways to get into God's head by observing the stuff that he revealed. He gave us two views into his mind. The Torah is one view into his mind, and the Bria was another avenue into what was he thinking. And if you only learn Torah, you can be missing. And arguably, the world is a much bigger book. You're reading the little pamphlet. You're not reading the big book. So what's the odds that you're going to have a real Havana of God? They make a very good argument. And the question you'd have to ask them is why did God have to reveal himself in two ways? Why did he write two books? Why isn't one enough? So the way I will explain it for them is that it's the same as the Bria that Hashem created. There is Chayil and Kedusha. The relationship of science to Torah is that science is like the weekdays and the Torah is the Shabbos. So if you want to know everything, you have to study the scientific world. Now you see the whole world. And then if you want to know the moral way to live in that world, how to imbue that life of Kedusha, that's what the Torah provides. So the world without Torah is taka. It's you have a lot of information, but you don't know how to live in that world. You observe the world. And Torah by itself is just the moral way to live in the world, but you don't know the world, you won't be able to do it. So a good way to think of it, according to them, would be that Torah and Mada is like Shabbos and the weekdays. And that's a perfect thing. So what's our response? What do we believe? Hashem wrote two books. What's the answer? The answer is that the relationship of Torah and Mada is not two books. It's a house and a blueprint. It's a body and DNA. It's a reason why one book is small and one is big. It's not just imbalanced. It's that this is the blueprint. And if you want to know the architect, you don't need to read the house and the blueprint. They're exactly the same thing. In fact, they built the house from the blueprint, right? The architect, every single thing in the house only came from the blueprint. The builders look at it, and every dot and line is a wall or plumbing or electricity. So the Lashon Chazal is histakel baraisa bara olma. Hashem looked into the Torah and he built the world. So that's what we believe. We believe that the Torah is the blueprint of reality, and like the concentrated orange juice can, you add water, you get the whole vat, and you can feed the whole camp, right? But all of that really was in the can, right? So the Torah unpacked. So that's why you don't need to read. You don't need Torah and Mada; they're duplicated. You don't need both. So which one does it make more sense to do? Well, first let me say one thing. A cool thing to observe is, and this is what I like to troll. When I'm arguing with people, think they're all like the Torah Mada world thinks that they're all that we're not sophisticated. They're the ones who understand. Like they live in this I don't know how they call it modern Orthodox. It's like modern. It's like even Rabbi Yosef Ber Soloveitchik, like modern. Like he was dressing like from Germany in the 1800s. Like those ties ended like somewhere in 1885. like how do you call yourself modern Orthodox? It's so weird. Like there's no one more old-fashioned than they're stuck. Even every young Israel shul is like stuck in the 50s, 60s, maybe. The yeshiva shuls, the problem is we're way too modern. Everything is like lucite and white and black. There's like no color. I just gave a shir in Deal yesterday. Rabbi Farchi's father's shul. It's a shul. It's all brown, deep mahogany wood, dark green chairs, velvet. You feel kedusha. It feels like you know what I mean? Like you don't see that anywhere anymore. Every shul is exactly the same. Like this office. If you close your eyes, you don't know if you're in a shul, a base medrash, an office, or someone's kitchen, or someone's bathroom. Everything. It's like we live in a black and white world. Like there's no color anymore. It's sterile. Sterile. Because people's chashivas comes from wearing designer names in their clothing. Okay. But there's no. By the way, that would have been the right share to give today. Because I was thinking, like, he's giving brachas to all of his kids. If you read the brachas, okay, for the tape, this is very important. You say, okay, this whole other share, it's important, but we didn't get to why it's important. This will be important in 30 seconds. Why they call brachas? He's really defining all the shvatim. If you go through Yaakov saying, he's saying you're like this animal, you like that animal, you like this, you like that, right? So I think that's what the real bracha is self-definition and self-knowledge and awareness of your mission in the world. The word bracha, what does the word bracha really mean? Translate the word bracha. What does blessing mean? Okay, this is going to take longer than 30 seconds. I shouldn't have done this. But let me tell you. What does Beis Reish Chaf mean? If we want to know what a word really means, because there's a big problem with the word blessing. Like, what do you think blessing means? Give me a bracha. What am I asking for? When I ask you for a bracha, what am I asking? So you give me what? How? Pick me up? Okay, but some kind of gift. It's some kind of, like, you should have hatzlacha. You should have some kind of gift. You should have extra stuff, right? Okay. So that's when you give someone else a bracha. And when you say Baruch Atah Hashem, so what are you saying? You say, Hashem, things should go good for you? No. Like Hashem, you give you a little boost? Yeah, go. Like, what do you... The origin of bracha. What? Like the origin of bracha. I hear. It's a problem. You have to play around. What does the word bracha mean that makes sense to say to Hashem, Baruch Atah Hashem? And maybe bracha means like thank you, we appreciate, it's acknowledgement. So that makes sense. When I say Baruch Atah Hashem, I'm a kabbalah for you, I acknowledge you, Hashem. Like,
first of all, Baruch Atah is also like present and past. Like you are blessed. It's not I'm blessing you. I mean, it's a different tense.
Okay, fine. I hear. So you're saying what? So you're saying Hashem, you're really lucky? You're like Matzliach?
Hashem is whatever, it's everything. So he is already, he is blessed.
I understand, but whatever you're going to do, whatever definition you're going to choose, you're going to run into a problem of having it work both ways. If I'm saying Baruch Atah Hashem, so if it means thank you, then when I say to you, I give you a bracha, I'm not saying thank you to you. No, I give you a bracha.
You're not saying Baruch Atah when you give someone a bracha.
You should be thanked.
You're not saying.
So I'm saying Baruch, you should be Baruch. You should be Baruch. People should thank you. That's what I'm wishing you.
Well, you're using the word thanks.
I'm saying that's what bracha means. If bracha means whatever word you mean, it's going to be. You have to face the problem that.
What you say?
Not really.
When you're giving someone bracha, you're trying to bestow upon them. It's if you use that in the context of Baruch Atah, you already bestowed it. It is who Hashem already has it. So that would be a good word that works both ways.
That Hashem, you. What are we saying? You, Baruch means that you should get good stuff. Hashem, you already got all the good stuff. So, what's the translation of Baruch? What does that mean? Tell me the translation of blessed. I'm not saying you're wrong. You're on a very good mahalach, but you have to be able to define. No, good. You're doing good. Don't play it safe all of a sudden. You go. No, you're doing good. So what's the exact word that will allow both functionality, both nuance? So another way to do it is one way to do it is to look for all the places and figure out the word that works for all of them, and then you're probably in the right direction. Another way is to look for all the similar words in Lashon HaKodesh. What else does Beis Reish Chaf mean in Lashon HaKodesh? Where else do you find that word? A pool is called the brecha. Right, that's the word for a pool.
What's the word for knees?
Knees, berech. Very good. Vayavrei hagmalim means to kneel when you want to feed the camels. You kneel them. And then
how do you say walk?
No, it's a.
I knew knees was basic.
Right, that's why kriya, right? You koireya bet. We say it in the label. What do we say? Kol berech l'cha tichra. All knees to you will bending your knee is called kriya. This two different words. Koirim u'mishtachavim u'moidim. There's more. There's a few different ways. What's the difference between koirim and koirim u'mishtachavim? Well, that's a third one. That's Neifel al Pneim, right? But there's one kind of bending where you lower, you bend your knees, and then there's another one where you bend from your waist. Right? We baruch, what do you do? Baruch, you bend your knee. Ata, is that what you do? How do you do it? Svardim don't do that. What? Right. But so baruch, which is knee, that's a good raya. When you say baruch, you bend your knees. And then ata is you bend your back. What would, if you had to figure out the difference between the two? What's the mindset of two different types of acknowledgement of authority, which is what I can imagine what all bowing is. Something like that. So what's the difference between bending your knee and bending your back? What would you say?
Japanese, no, they do it.
Which one do they do? They do.
Just too bad.
What? They do something with the arms too. No, they. Oh, they do. Right? What? Take a knee, one knee. One knee is a whole new thing. It's like a compromise with the back and the knee, you do one knee. Right here. So I think, again, just to make it as simple as possible, I think one reason for bowing is I lower myself in front of you. That would be the intuitive, right? You're high, I'm low. That's what bowing is. There's another kind of bowing, which is kneeling. When you go to a king or a queen, you kneel, you bend your knees. And why is that different than bowing from your waist? Bowing from your waist is straight up lowering myself. Bowing from your knee is the purpose of knee. When you bow from your knee, what does the king or the queen do when you kneel? Right? They take their sword and they put it on your shoulder. You know, right?
There's a drawn cross.
What? They draw a cross? I think it's a symbolic. What happens is, listen, could be I made this all up in my head, but the way I understand it is interesting. Okay, maybe it did.
No, not mixing it up.
I never thought of that. I always looked at. I'll tell you what my shot was, and maybe it's both. But the way I always assume that what it was is that when you kneel, when vayavre hakamal, when do you kneel the camels? When you kneel an animal. When do you have the animals bend their knee? What are you doing?
When you get on, sleeping.
When you're getting on, or when you're loading them up. Right? So when you load up an animal, when you bend your knee, what you're doing is you're exposing your shechem. Right? You bend. Now, go ahead. Put it on my back. I'm accepting your whatever it is. So when you go to a king and you kneel, what the king does is they put their sword or their scepter on your shoulders. It's symbolically, what you're doing is you're presenting them your shoulder. You say, I am makabel your authority. And they symbolically put their authority on your shoulders. That's like an oil. That's where you put an oil. So that's how I understand. Is that a far-fetched? Is that intuitive? Is that so that's what I think the difference is. So there's two different ways to acknowledge this is a very, by the way, this is very useful just when you're davening. Two different kavanas. When you say baruch, you say what you're saying is I accept your authority. And that's so let's show that. So the knee, what's the purpose of a knee? The purpose of a knee is the physiological part of you that allows you, a fulcrum that allows you to bend. Okay, when they tell you to lift in the gym, what do they say?
Don't move your back.
You lift from your knees. Knees are the fulcrum that is designed for lifting. Don't lift from your back, lift from you want to carry something hard, you bend your knee, take it on, and then you stand straight up. So the kavana I have when I say baruch is I am accepting your oil Hashem. I'm makabel your authority, and ata is just humility of your hugeness, and I'm small. So it's two different kavanas. One is a humility of being small, and one is an accepting of authority, makabel and oil. So in the light of all that, that's what I wanted to say. That the biggest bracha is to allow someone to understand his place in the world. To give him, Yaakov he's defining you. He's telling you who you are. It's your mission, your purpose, your burden, your oil, your job. So the meaning of the word, so that, by the way, that's what bracha means now. So what does bracha mean? When I wish you a bracha, what am I saying when I wish you a bracha? I say you should have a lot. Hashem should give you a lot of shefa on your shoulders. He should weigh you down with blessings. The word baruch means, and that's what a brecha is. What's a pool? A pool is different than a spring. A spring, a mayon, is a source of water. What's a pool? Just a kli kibul. A brecha, so that's a raya. Brecha is a pool. A berech is what allows you to be the Kabbalah authority. Bracha is saying that you should receive shefa from Hashem. Hashem should blow you down. And then it makes total sense what klala is. What is the root of the word klala? When you have a double lashon, it's kalal, right? So it's light, extra. You should have. When you wish someone a klala, you say you should be totally not weighed down by any chef from Hashem. Hashem should not burden you with any brachas. You should be sort of like what we were saying earlier. We were saying that the worst punishment is not to exist. The worst call is that Hashem should just not be good. He shouldn't give you any. Shouldn't you? You're worried that Hashem is like giving you too much stuff. Hashem shouldn't encumber you with any hassles. Just leave you alone. That's the worst. So that a bracha is to be a kli kibul, a klala is to be unencumbered. And that makes sense both ways, and that's what we're saying in bracha klala. And this is what Yaakov is doing when he gives each of the shvatim their bracha. It's really a definition. That's what your bracha is. Your bracha is mikabel, your place in the world. The gift is I'm giving you your niche. Baruch Atah Hashem is sort of like I am. It's sort of like I am acknowledging being the recipient of your Hashem. You are it's a relationship of Hashem as like what kneeling is. Exactly what you're doing when you're kneeling. What if you had to give words to kneeling before authority? You're saying is I accept you. What?
How's that Baruch Atah Hashem?
That what? That you're the in this bechina, in this thing, whatever I'm doing, that you gave me this hana, this mitzvah, this whatever. I am making myself before you into that. It's the mindset is when you say Baruch Atah Hashem is I am presenting you my shoulder in this bechina Hashem, loaded on. Okay, so what is that really? It's an acknowledgement of Hashem as
two different uses. If I'm benching you, that means that it's two different uses.
Well, you either to Hashem is you're the recipient. You're saying I'm b'nil, and to Hashem and to others you're saying the same thing. Is that you should be the recipient of Hashem.
You should get that treatment.
Not get Hashem should put good stuff on your back. Should load you up.
Bother you with
should weigh you down. That's right. So
maybe it's not Hashem. You're the one who takes care of all my problems. Or Hashem, you're the.
Why takes care of problems?
You're the one that has the yoke on your shoulders. You know.
Who has the yoke?
Hashem. Hashem, you're the one who has the yoke on
you make a whole you make a whole Hasidic shavar. You're saying Hashem is the one kneeling and having. That's very tricky. I wish Blumenthal would have been here. He would have loved that. You like that one better?
Don't they say that when we say that?
Baruch Atah Hashem, Hashem, you long-suffering God who puts up with all of our stuff. You know, like you're Hashem. You are the one carrying us. Very interesting. Okay, all Hasidic Torah leaves you like you go. You feel like this. You go like whoa, and then you go oh, like maybe, and you end up with you know what maybe. Yeah. So just to finish off the little commercial break, so you understand now the segue into designer. So like the whole Yesod is bracha. A bracha is to be able to be who you were meant to be, to define yourself, and then you're wearing some guy Calvin's name on your rear end, like it doesn't make sense. Like it's literally the opposite of bracha. To define yourself.
That's not where it comes from. He's trying to say why won't you into it?
What designer names? It's you are defining yourself, your cheshivas, by some designer. What?
That people perceive you
I
as
understand. But you understand how low that is. That what you're willing to sacrifice for the image of financial success. You're willing to sacrifice.
What you're sacrificing.
You're sacrificing your whole self-definition. You are defined by someone else's name. You are like that's your pride. Your pride is that Hashem said that I am an ostrich, so but I'm looking around wearing a pelican. I'm like there's a role that you have. There's a name. You're Yisachar Chamar Gorem. You use an area. You're a lion, Nachash, and Gedi, and Naphtali Ayola Shlucha. Every one of these is a beautiful mission. And instead of feeling blessed and wearing your mission with pride, like you're wearing somebody else's. You're like a little fanboy of someone.
That's going to be that's your football. That's the one that's good. That's your rip off
Would you wear it if it said? Would you, first of all, the nicest watches anywhere are Beverly Hills Polo Club. How many compliments I got? It's $11 in Burlington. People think I'm wearing like some $50,000, $100,000 watch, but everything's like that. It's not necessarily, and the people who double down and get totally invested and no, it's just that much more beautiful. You don't realize it's it's the same as the guy embarrassed of his father's hat from the wedding videos, like what a big brim he had. Well, I was embarrassed how what a small brim my father had, and then it got big. Now I'm embarrassed because you just by the time you reach 50, you've been like whiplash, so many directions, have so many hats that you're embarrassed of. There's only one hat that you're not embarrassed of. That's the one that you bought yesterday. And in 15 minutes you'll be embarrassed of that one. And ties, right? You've all lived long enough to have ties that you can't wear because they're too fat or too skinny, and they're horrifying. You can imagine that I actually wore that, right? And shirts with spread collars and not spread collars, and tighter ones, and little pants and tight pants and bell bottom. We are so pathetic. We're not beautiful. We're literally slaves to whatever they're telling us to think. We're all lacking in bracha. That's a good way to think of it. You're lacking in the Havana of your self-worth. And that's just what we are really. There's nothing you can do about it. We're so impressionable. It's a very good, I like the whole idea of designer things because it's a very good way to get someone to have a certain level of introspection that you would never be able to show them otherwise. Like you try and convince someone that he's an Evan. This is where you can do it. That Imam, you have no self. Like, this is the way to show it. And the ramification is not that every year you have to buy another $1,000 coat. The ramification is much worse things than coats. Coats are just like, in fact, the coats are the cheapest cost of this weakness of character. Like you think because I bought a Montclair, the next year I had to buy moose knuckle, the next year I had to buy Canadian goose, and now it's Macage or whatever it is. Like I wore it twice. I'm sitting here, and the whole world is waiting for the sun, and I'm davening for one month of winter because I just got my coat. Like, please make it snow. Like it's crazy, but that's not that $1,000 a year that you're spending. That's not the klola of this kind of lack of self. That's like the smallest sacrifice. All the things that you're not, all the things that remain undone, all the parts of you that. And if you wanted to be nice, you can make it into an Nebuch, because Nebuch we're playing defense. Everyone's playing defense. And I remember I went to Shiva of one of these kids who died on Lag Boimer by Miron. So my son was part of like his chevra, like he was there. Like that was the year he was in Mir, and he lost a couple of friends there. So he told me a beautiful thing. He said, "One guy, my son, you know Tzvi, So he used to be like heavy. He lost like 100 pounds. He's like the king of diets. Like no, before Ozempic and Manjaro, he did it like in a mirror, in a dira. Like he figured it out. He owns it. So, but he said, I walk into the basement all the time, and this is one guy, also a big guy, rather, but he would always like Tzvi would walk by, and he said, Tzvi says, the guy used to reach out his hand and grab me. He said, Tzvi, you look amazing, but not like the little, like people say, this guy would hold my hand like the extra, like not could be awkward, but it's the extra 30. No, I'm not like for real. Like he would. Another Bachar Yeshiva just grabbed him and said, like, no, it's like in that extra eighth of a second that he holds on to you when you're walking away, not the regular, just like, fist bump, whatever it is. And that thing is an acknowledgement that you're a Gibor. And I understand you're in a Dira where everyone's eating anything and all you do is eat bread here and you're not, no carbs. All of that was licked in this guy. It's just an amazing thing for a Bachar. Like I was so nispal from that. And I went to the shiva. I wanted to just tell the mother this thing, which is a little weird also, but I'm not shy. So I went to the women's section. Cone. Yeah. Yes, I went to Cone and I went there and went to the mother. She's Naman also.
Yeah.
Yes, I went to her and I said, I just want to tell you, my son is friends with your son. Your son. I said it's just such a rare midah. At that age, everyone's playing defense. That your son was in the driver's seat, and he was the one looking out what he can do and be mechayis. At that age, there's a shleimus in that. People takes a whole life to get there. Like, you spend most of your life playing defense, and maybe like the end of the road is where you get to be the person who has said that's who your son was. He got to where he needed to be. He was already overflowing, not playing defense. So she said one line to me. She goes, I love your metaphors. Such a good metaphor. So what did I got from that? I didn't say it because I didn't get awkward or it's like she's sitting Shiva on her son, and she did. You want to know where her son got her from? So this is the mother. The mother was saying, I'm giving her a chizuk, and she's figuring out how to make me feel good for giving her a compliment. I probably should have said that. No, I should have. What?
Apple doesn't help her.
I'm saying, but like,
That's not Apple.
that's like it's such an amazing thing to think. Like that's godless of this lady, And I don't know, should I say it? Should I say what? Like stop it already. Like first of all, if she's the real one already has it so stacked that she's giving her kid, then it's like an insult to point it out. Like she's bigger than that. Like I don't need your. You just acknowledge that I'm the one who's giving. Don't insult me by saying like I needed to hear. Maybe. It's not my job to do something like this. It's your job and a little bit. I'm torn both ways. A little bit, it's your job to. It's your job to acknowledge godless, acknowledge something beautiful. Unless maybe it is insulting, but the real person's not going to be insulted. The real person will say like, okay, it feels good to give compliment. Like, let him feel good.
The largest godless is what you said. That her kid got her godless. That's the largest godless. I don't like saying compliment.
But it wasn't just your son's amazing. It was a real comment. I was in this film. When Tzvi, and I didn't learn it myself. Like Tzvi, my son, he hopped at himself. He gave it over to me. Like he's also not just a passenger. It's like two gedolim like sitting there. Each one's like not. It's nice, but that's nice. It's like all around. I'm gonna put myself in the category. You have my son, this boy, her, and we're all four doing the same thing, listening to someone else who's giving a chizuk, and all we're hearing is, wow, the person's so amazing. They're giving chizuk and happening a shnar. But everyone I'm saying this is this few people in the room. Everyone of you hears it, right? And we're talking about a little darkest thing, but it's impressive. So if you understand the value of this conversation, and you understand the pathetic tsar of this whole designer name thing, it's literally the opposite of this. You literally have to be a person who is so on the take, who is so playing defense, it's so low. It's literally the opposite of these people. And that's the sadness of it. It's just the most offensive outlook in the room, searching, groping in the dark for some kind of validation.
Can never leave it close.
See the guy in the back. Okay, so what's your
No, I
lead?
told him watching it, he was like, I was like, a racist in there.
See what you
All the coats out there are all terrible people.
I'm codist? No, so you could say is, you know what, these guys never he's trying so hard to make Calvin Klein feel good. Not real. It's like that doesn't even get the first second of who. You don't even get that one.
Clothing brands are one example. It's anything. It's the idea of trying to get outer source to make yourself known.
Yeah, but this is even worse than outer source. This is not doing something that gets validation. You didn't even do anything. The thing you did was wear someone else's account.
I think it could be anything in life.
Yeah, but you said when you do something for validation, so at least you did something for validation. You didn't even do something here. Your chashivas is someone else's design.
No, that's what I'm saying. You have a young guy in yeshiva that's in sister, his parents are buying the coat. He has everything to buy that coat. Why? Because if you look at him, oh, he's rich. It's not coming because Calvin Klein's work. It's coming because he's wearing $1,000 coat. That's where the schmaltz comes from. Yeah, it's not coming from the.
No, but it's it's not true. It's worse than that because it's really the guy feels that
the head's turned.
The floor shine shoe with the fake shoelaces is it's like never because it's really just a copy of the Zenya one. Like,
because people, I think he's he cares too much about think.
Huh?
It comes down because he cares people think about him, what he thinks, what he thinks. So that's what it is. Because when you're confident enough, you wear the fake thing. It's like, oh, it looks nice. Who cares if it's real or not? The guy that people already know that, he feels stupid.
Yeah, okay, but I'm saying, but when there's two things here. There's the validation, but then there's also the idea that I really have shaped my whole taste buds are being shaped by this. It's not just I want to look rich. It's I'm adding. That your whole hashkafa, like your whole worldview, you're bowing before this person's. Like you basically just made it's literally kneeling. You made your mindset. You didn't even do it consciously. You really see him as the daddy. He's a daddy, and I'm just my privilege to be in his presence.
But then we're all involved in this level. The next level is the brand. That's the next level.
Okay. Right, but we shouldn't be measuring ourselves by how deep in the hole we are. The real thing is to be out of the hole and be what I'm calling on offense as opposed to defense. Bottom line is the best defense is a good offense. Like once you're playing defense, it's always ugly. You don't need to nitpick which defense it is. You're backing up. There's something about running away, backing up. When you're on offense. No matter what you're doing, it's important to see yourself on offense. The tool I use, I told you my tool I developed over my years is I have a mindset that I use to look at the world. I look at the whole world as I'm a lifeguard in camp in the pool. I told you this already? I did it. Okay, so I don't have to do it again. But you remember it?
You're there to say that for what?
What?
You're there to say that?
That these kids go to camp and they have hard lives. Their lives are going to be hard. Everyone's lives. Maybe their parents are fighting. Maybe they're not going to get the yeshivas they want. They're not going to get everything. Life is full of pain, and camp is like supposed to be. It's not school, not no assignments. It's supposed to be happy times. Like there are people who literally their whole lives they can remember camp. Camp is going to be his little beacon in the middle of an ocean. So it's a little, it's such an important experience that people should have a good time in camp. Now, of camp, the best thing in camp, if you're like a city kid, when I was a kid, today everyone's spoiled, but it was the pool. You're in the city, it's hot, a pool, and the worst thing in camp could be the pool. Because you get splashed, the lifeguards are mean, and they blow the whistle, and people are, the pool, the pool is such an important, the lifeguard in the pool has such a huge role. I look at it, I look around, and yeah, the kids are splashing and they're fighting. My job is to make sure every one of these people has the best experience they can have. I want them to go home from camp I want them to go home from camp having the best summer. And that will allow them to get through life. My role in this person's life is the chance to preserve a positive memory for him that is going to serve him well. I don't get to meet people forever. You meet people for a few minutes, see yourself as the lifeguard in their pool. And then you're not going to be threatened by are they disrespecting you? Are they listening to my authority? Are they? It's just if they're splashing. I want both of them to have a good time. I want the kid getting splashed to feel not bullied. I want the guy who's splashing him to not feel like he was crushed and punished. Your job in life is to make sure people have the best summer of their lives. That's how you look at it. Well, you don't need to use a pool, but you get used to it. All things need habits. You have to start to look at yourself and if you start to think of yourself in that role, then you will. It's a real role. So then you'll start to feel that role, and you'll discover that you become an individual, and you're not going to be a follower. You're on offense. Right? That's in life. That's the best rule for everything: is to do everything on offense. If you're fighting a war, you want to fight the war in Europe, not in America, because everything you lose is you're losing your territory. If you fight on their land, then you're playing with house money. You want to play with house money. Okay. Well, yeah. Let's go back to Yosef now and just wrap this up. What? Yeah. You looked it up. Yeah. It's I'll get this. That's what. Yeah. So let me. So I went off on a tangent to explain the whole thing was the idea of the Torah Mada and the yeshiva world. So we were saying that therefore it makes more sense for us. We believe that Torah and science is the same. They're both everything. It's a blueprint and a house. They're identical. What's the reason to learn Torah over science? Is there a reason then to learn one or the other? What would be your argument if they're the same? It makes much more sense to study Torah. Why? Because what? I'm saying, but why? But if I want to know the author, so I only have to read one book. There are other, right? So how would you decide? Is there a preference to reading the big book or the small book? Like, it's an obvious answer. Okay, that's a philosophical point. What's a practical point? It's a very simple answer. If you want to know the architect, you could study the whole house or the blueprint. Which one are you going to choose?
The blueprint.
Why?
Because it's the source, I guess.
That's philosophical. No. I'm ready. I'm ready. No, I'm just saying simple. It's much more leverage. You can read the blueprint to how long? You can finish the blueprint. To learn a house, what do you have to do? It's going to take you months. You have to take off the sheetrock, study the pipes and the plumbing. Here, it's everything. It's so much more leveraged. You can learn the whole Torah. You're never going to be able to know the whole Bria. But the guy who learns the whole Torah knows the whole Bria. You have the same information. There's far more leverage. It's literally bit a waste.
But it takes more learning, though. It means if you want to see a website, what's the easiest way? With the website.
The source code.
If you know how to read source code, the easiest way is to read source code.
Yeah, so if you want to learn if you want to know websites, then you better go learn source code. Because you know how many links there are in a sophisticated website. If you learn source code, you can literally go through websites in 15 minutes and cop the whole thing. So if you're not going to learn source code, then if your source code is not your thing, then don't become mumachel websites.
Right, but you live in this world, so you have to make the source code your thing. The source code is the Bria.
Exactly. So I'm saying, so that's why we believe that Torah, everything else is B'nai Torah. Like, get the skills to learn Torah in the source, so that you can.
Actually, know what's going on.
Okay. So now the question is, the irony is that I like to show this to the Torah man, the crowd, is that ironically the Lakewood world has far more respect for secular knowledge than the Torah man, the world does, according to this. Why? Who has more respect for the secular world? So you figure it out. Am I asking it the wrong way? It should.
Someone who knows the secular knowledge, we're saying the secular world comes from Torah.
But they're the same. Okay. So they're equal. Yeah, so it's still comes to different what? According to them.
They understood
This is the week and this is Shabbos. So if you only have science, without Torah, what's going to happen? You're not going to have the moral understanding of what to do in the world. You need Shabbos and the week. You need Torah and this. They complement each other. According to us, it's the same. So what would that mean? That would mean technically, science itself will teach you morality. You can learn everything from without learning Torah. It's the same book. So it's a mila to that. But science to us is a complete thing. So we have much more respect for science than they do. We see science as inherently
100%
godly, and they see it as just a shell without it's the main percent, the Shabbos. It's literally chayil. They see it as the mudei chayil and mudei kodesh, and we say no, it's both kodesh. It's just this is far more leveraged. It's and it's real. It's not just an excuse. You hear it? You're not. You don't. I don't feel like you're with me on this. I lost you somewhere. Okay, I'll give you your own personal. Okay, so now let's just go back to Yosef. So according to this, so now, what is the relationship of the 70 languages to Lashon HaKodesh? Now what? Right. So that's the same relationship. The same way Torah is to science is Lashon HaKodesh. So what it is Lashon HaKodesh is everything, the klal, and each of the languages is one. But each language on its own is what? Is a piece of the thing. So my question this is where I figured all this out from, this kasha. It's a weird kasha. But who teaches Yosef all the languages? Which malach? We said Gavriel. Gavriel teaches them the languages. That's really weird because what's Gavriel? Gavriel is the malach of Gvura, of destruction. He's the one who destroys Siddoim. Gavriel, we had Gavriel 2 weeks ago. When Yosef is looking for his brothers as Achai and Leichim Mevakish, Gavriel is the one who comes and says, sorry, that ship sailed. They're on a warpath. Right? He meets Ish Soya, right? The man meets Soya Basada and he says, what are you looking for? You know what I'm talking about? When Yosef is looking for his brothers, so he meets Gavriel. And Gavriel is the one who said they went to Doisan. And Yosef goes to Doisan, and that's where they kidnap him and sell him. But Yosef just wanted his brothers. So what's Gavriel's role over there? He's sort of the one to let him know that this love and peace thing is not happening anymore.
That's why Angel Wilson got him.
Oh yeah? I hear? I didn't know that. Okay, is that true? Yeah? You read it?
It makes sense now, right?
What?
It makes sense. It's Gabriel. Story.
I hear. Nice. But is that true? It says it somewhere like Gabriel? Again, in their claim. Didn't act. So you're assuming it happened. So you're saying Torah and Kfira. It's like what is that? It's like the Gemara. It's like a bracha. It's making a bracha on a chazer. You know, Ein Zeh Mevorach. I hear. Okay. Let me I want to wrap it up in the next minute. I want to say the punchline here. Here's the punchline. Here's the whole thing. So Gavriel's the malach of destruction. Why? Because if you already speak Lashon HaKodesh, so why is Gavriel all of a sudden teaching languages? That's Uriel is always the malach of wisdom, of chachma. Mimini Michael B'Smaili Gavriel B'Fanei Uriel, right? Chesed, Din, Refuah. But Gavriel is the one who made us period, breaking. So why is Gavriel teaching languages? What's the answer? You have the answer? If you speak Lashon HaKodesh already, so what do you need in order to learn the other 70 languages? How do you learn 70 languages if you speak Lashon HaKodesh? What do you have to do? Because you already speak everything. So you don't need to learn anything new. You have to learn how to break it into its 70 parts. You have to learn how to shatter it. It's like lumdus. You have to learn how to say two dinim in the Torah to break it up. That's Gavriel. There's no chiddush here. Lashon HaKodesh already is everything. So the avodah of learning languages is how to break things up into its constituent parts. And therefore, if you translate the Torah into Greek, what's the problem? What's the problem with translating Torah? Why is it a tragedy?
Doesn't have, can't handle that much.
How much could it have? How much information? How much information does it have? If you had to give a number,
70. I don't know the math.
1/70th, right? It's you have the klal of 70, and now you reduce the whole Torah into one little 69/70th of the experience is gone. So if you translate it simultaneously into all 70 languages, then nothing's lost.
Well, you've a little bit. Right, nothing's lost, and nothing has.
It's not. That's our Torah. It's the same thing. It's called be'er hativ. It's fleshed out. It's well explained. It's literally elaborated. There are milas to the house over a blueprint. There are things that you. So
much easier way.
what would you call it? I would call it be'er hativ. That's literally, if I had to call what a house was to a blueprint, I would say the blueprint is more economical, more efficient, more leveraged, and the house is be'er hativ, clearer, obvious. It's be'er hativ. That's what the house is. So that's the difference. And the Greeks, they didn't argue with this whole shtickle. They just held that Greece was everything. That's why they had 70 elders transfer Torah into Greek. They said they're the whole. They're the 70. That was but I'll just end with a mashal where you see this literally in Torah. When Yaakov was running away from Esau, he comes to the well, and there's a rock on top of the well, and he says, "Why are you sitting there?" He says, "Because you have to wait for all the shepherds to come to roll the rock off." Right? So, and then Yaakov sees Rachel, he falls in love. What does he do? He just rolls the rock off. What's the aside? There's two ways to open the well. What's one way to open the well is all the shepherds together. The 70 shepherds get together they can roll the rock off. Or Yaakov on his own, Klal Yisrael on its own can do the whole 70, can roll the rock off. You hear? I think everyone's at the end of their. You understand the last thing? It's two. Because the be'er is that's what be'er means. It's be'er hativ. The be'er represents that clarity. There's two versions of the clarity. There's Yaakov rolled the rock off, Lashon HaKodesh, Klal Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael, and then there's the larger version of it, which is the 70 shepherds getting their act together and opening the well, and that's be'er hativ. But they're both two mahal.
That only works if you actually be able to see from all 70 angles.
Right, so that's Hashem. Right, that's.
If I learned in English or in Greek, I'm only seeing.
Right, 70. Right, yeah, but Klal Yisrael, because you're a member of Klal Yisrael, so you have shaykhs to the whole, the nations of the world. So the question. So here's a good way to sum up the whole class. So based on this shir, what would you say is how would you compare the nation of Klal Yisrael to the other nations? How would you? Somebody said, "Where are you? Where do you fit in with the nations? How would you articulate it based on everything we said?"
We're the base, so to say. We.
But from one angle, that's fair. We're the original thing before the fragmentation, but after fragmentation.
They're all pieces of us.
So what I say is we're equal. We're equal to the nations. We're not better or worse. We're identical to the nations, but to all 70. All 70. Any one nation. Now, any one nation. Here's another thing. Any one nation, according to this, if you flesh it out, any one nation is superior to us in their aspect. It's like what?
We have a piece of that.
We have it, but we have. I live 120 years doing 70 things. He's 120 years on his little niche. He's going to be the king of his little niche. I'm much more spread out. My mashal is in a symphony. Imagine every nation is an instrument in the symphony. What's Klal Yisrael? We're sort of the conductor. The conductor has to be a master at every instrument. He has to understand every instrument. But he doesn't have to be good enough at that instrument.
Who said that works like that when it comes to the Torah the way it is? We are the experts in all 70. Happens means like concentrate. What is better? 70 languages split up in orange juice or the actual consecrate?
I understand,
It's
but
too-
I
it's too
understand,
strong to have a
I
can.
understand, but it's a weird muscle because nobody buys concentrated orange juice. Everybody wants Tropicana. Everybody wants the orange juice that's full exactly as it is. They don't want to know that you added water to this powder and there's pieces in it. It's never the same.
It's
a good
wine
muscle.
back in the day, whatever it is.
Let's keep it going. My muscle is a good muscle. There is something lost. It can't be to say in philosophy, you could say what you're saying. In the real world, the conductor has to be able to play every instrument, has to be a mumch in every instrument, but he doesn't have to be Carnegie Hall quality, and because nobody could do that. This guy plays violin all day, every day. So he gets so good at it. We can go around the world. You notice through history, we go to every country, and we're more German than the Germans, more Russian than the Russian. Everywhere we go, we're like Joe Spain, But we're always number two. There's always an Elon Musk who's better, who's not Jewish. We think he's Jewish, maybe he's Jewish, but there's always whatever it's Ben Shapiro, who's the but then there's a what do you call it? There's a no, what's his name? The guy that killed him, Charlie Kirk. Then there's a Charlie Kirk who changes the world. That we're very good at being Shemi Lamalchus. Because that's what it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to do it. We're supposed to get the whole world to play the symphony. That's our job. We want them to all play their music. That's a separate question. Why did Hashem reveal a blueprint on the house? Why did he do it two ways? So that where I'm going now is really what you need to do to answer that question. Okay, there's a lot of useful information there. Wow.